Hey there, this is Austin. Just wanted to do a quick rundown of my pedal board. I actually use this for acoustic and electric guitar as well as bass. A friend of mine helped me build the board itself out of pallet wood or reclaimed wood, and I hand built all of the cables as well using pancake plugs. My signal chain starts here with this simple switch. It's just kind of the input and output for my entire board. The guitar comes in at the bottom and then runs through my entire signal chain back into this more micro DI and then out to my amp through the top there. I like this because it keeps my board tidy. Everything comes in and out in one spot. And if something were to happen, step on a cord or it gets yanked out or something like that, nothing would get damaged except for this little box here, as opposed to maybe my overdrive or the reverb or something like that. From there, I go into this mod tone chromatic tuner. I leave it on all the time and go out through the bypass jack on the side. I really like having it on all the time. That way I just have quick access to it, maybe even in the middle of a song if I need to, and I just control my volume. I mute it while tuning using the volume pedal. From there, I go into this Behringer noise reducer. Both my guitar and bass produce a little bit of hiss and hum, and if I don't need to turn down the volume to to tune in between songs, this kit just keeps everything nice and quiet. That's one thing that drives me crazy, is a lot of noise and stuff like that in between songs. So this just keeps everything nice and quiet. After that, I go into this Ernie Ball volume pedal. There's nothing special about it except that I added the arrow symbol. And I really like having a volume pedal on my board because I can do swells. Like I said, I leave the tuner on all the time and I just control my volume, muting it and stuff using the volume pedal. After the volume pedal, I go into this Eno Auto Wah. It's kind of a cool little pedal. I was looking for something kind of funky and quirky. Unfortunately, I just don't think it matches my playing style or the type of music that I usually play. I want to swap it out for probably a little mini chorus, just something simple, and add a chorus sound. From there, I go into this DoD compressor. I leave it on all the time. I don't have the compression turned up, too terribly much, but leave it on all the time just to smooth things out, add a little bit of sustain. I really like this pedal. It sounds great. Adds a really nice, rich fullness to it. After the compressor is where I added the buffer. A lot of the pedals that come before it stay on all the time. So that's why I put the buffer here, because any buffer that comes after a dedicated buffer is the buffer that's being used for the signal. And now back down to the right side of my board, I go into the Full Drive 2 by Fulltone. I really like this overdrive pedal. It just has a lot of bite to it, but it's also a really organic saturation, and it sounds great on both electric guitar and bass. After that, I go into this bass mono synth by Electro Harmonics. There are a ton of synth sounds, and it even has a preset option so that you can select a synth sound and save it as a preset and select that at any point. I use it a lot when my guitarist goes into a solo and I need to kind of thicken up the sound. After the mono synth, I go into this BBE 2-timer analog delay. I really like it. It has two separate times. I usually keep one at a really short, fast, kind of slap back delay, and the other one quite a bit longer, turned almost all the way up, honestly. I like the MXR carbon copy more, but this is what I'm working with these days, and it's pretty good. After that, I have this Digitech Polar reverb. It's got several options on reverb. I end up using the modulated and halo the most. It's a great sounding reverb. The plate reverb on it is really, really good. So that sounds really just incredible. At the end of my chain is this Micro DI by Moore, and I use it for bass. If I don't have an amp with me, I can just run direct out. It even has a cab sim on it. It's just a great little DI, and it fits right up there in the top corner. It's a really small footprint. I'm going to demo all of these pedals individually so you can get an idea of what they sound like. I run through this Ampeg SS70C. It's a solid state amp from the 80s, and it's really pretty good for a solid state amp. So this is the dry tone that I'm working with. This is no compression, no reverb, anything. I like a little bit of breakup as I play harder. So when I'm playing soft, it's pretty mellow here. But then when I start to dig in, it gets a little bit of saturation. There's not a lot to talk about on the tuner or the noise reducer. May not be able to hear that in this particular situation, but the noise reducer is taking out a little bit of hum when I turn this on. I also won't talk about the volume pedal. I think everybody knows what it does. Pretty standard. From here, I'll play through the auto wah. Like I said, it's kind of a cool little pedal, but I just don't find myself using it very often. I'll probably replace it with something like a mini chorus pedal or something. Next, I have the compressor. I've been playing with it off this entire time. So as you can hear, it reduces the attack a little bit, smooths everything out, and gives it a little bit of boost, but it just is really rich and full. Really love the way that sounds. I also won't talk about the buffer because there's really nothing to explain. It just drives the rest of the pedals, the ones that I don't leave on all the time. Moving back down to the right side of my board again, I go to the full drive 2 by full tone after that. So here's my signal with the compressor on going into the overdrive. I'm going to skip the bass mono synth for now and save that for a later video when I'll demo all of these pedals using my bass. Now I go into the BBE 2-timer delay. It's called the 2-timer because it has 2 different delay settings, a fast and a long, depending on how you set it. I have delay 1 set really short. What I'll do is I'll turn the mix up and the repeats and give you an idea of what it sounds like. Can get kind of crazy. Maybe back the mix off a little bit. Now I'll switch over to time 2, which I have set a little bit longer. We'll turn the repeats down. It's a really great basic analog delay. And then last in my effects chain here is the Digitech Polara reverb. I use the modulated setting the most, but the plate is also really good. Turn off the delay there. Probably wouldn't use it quite like that. It's pretty loud, so we'll back it off a little. I really like the modulated here. I also really like the halo. That's why I have the settings turned up a little bit so you can hear that. The reverse setting is also kind of cool. Can really create some wild sounds. And then once again here at the end of my signal chain, after all of the effects, is the micro DI. It has switchable gain settings from -20 all the way up to +20. It's really driving my amp at that point into overdrive, which actually kind of sounded kind of cool. It also has a cab sim on it. I don't hear a whole lot of difference, but it's there if somebody wants to use it. Seems to warm up the sound a little bit. It's not quite as sterile, but of course I'm going through my amp right now and not direct, so the difference may not be as significant.